Hey y'all, happy Monday, Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me coming at you here on Monday morning, March 29th with another dose of Monday morning motivation, just sharing with you some of the thoughts, tips, some of the ideas, some of the phrases, some of the readings, whatever it is that has come across my space to keep me inspired, lifted up, and motivated. And I know that on Monday, a lot of times people need a little bit of get up and go to make the day happen in the way that they want it to happen. You want to make sure that your Monday, your day is like the most productive day ever. So first of all, good morning to you. I come on here on Mondays just for about 15 minutes to share with you just a phrase, a thought, something that's lifted me up. And this month, specifically in March, I've been sharing ideas, thoughts, quotes from women because we've been celebrating Women's History Month this month. So I'm not going to go back through all of them, but I do want to share a couple of the quotes that we've shared over the last couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks ago, we shared this one. It was by Michelle Ruiz. It says, if people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't hear them. Ooh, right? Work hard, do what it takes, become better, become amazing. Don't pay attention to the haters and do what you need to do so that you can really get ahead of the pack. That was Michelle Ruiz. So the last week, we shared this one by Marissa Mayer, and it says, always do something you aren't a little ready to do. That's how you grow. Right? Every day, enter the day and decide that you're going to do something that's just a little bit outside of your comfort zone so that you can continue the process of growth. And now this week, here's the thing that I want to share. And here's the thing that I want to really pour in this morning. I remember reading a statement a few years ago about sicknesses. And a doctor or a group of doctors were sharing that sicknesses, the majority of them are what are called psychosomatic, right? A lot of them are what are called psychosomatic. And here's what that means. It means that most of the sicknesses, a lot of the sicknesses and challenges and disorders that people have start right here. They start in the brain and they start in our mind, and then they translate from there to the body, right? And so what happens is that there's a lot of stress that we keep inside of us. We keep things in our mind. We worry. We keep anxieties inside of us. And because we keep all of those things inside of us, it translates to physical sickness. Right? It ends up being physical sickness. So one of the things that I like to share with people is that the experiences, the challenges, the stuff that you go through is not for you to keep inside of you. It's something that you share with others in order to help them transform, in order to help them navigate their space, in order to help them navigate their world. And this belief or this thought, this value that I have, that's kind of like my core, right? You hear me saying your story deserves a stage. I really believe that everyone's words deserve to be heard. I believe that everyone's story, the things that you go through, deserve to be shared and told so that it can help somebody else. And that is stood up, or that's agreed with by this quote that I want to share with you this morning from Maya Angelou. And it says, "There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Wow. Right? There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. What is Maya Angelou talking about when she says that? She is talking about just what we just mentioned, right? When you have something that's happened to you, when you have an experience that you've gone through, when you've got something that you've had to bear for a while, it's this weight that's inside you, right? And so that's good and bad. And when I say good and bad, I'm talking about the good experiences and the bad experiences. Do you remember the last time that you had something that was so amazing, right? It's like a surprise party. You had something that was so amazing that happened to you, and you just couldn't wait to tell somebody. You just couldn't wait to tell your best friend. You just couldn't wait to tell somebody. And it just kind of fills you up inside. And you're like bursting, ready for this story, ready for this moment, ready for this information to come out, right? So imagine that is a positive experience. And you're just like welling up inside and you can't wait to share this thing. Now, flip that to the painful experiences. What happens when you decide that you have these painful experiences and you hold them down inside, when you suppress them inside, when you keep them tucked away in some place? It does the same thing. It does the same thing. It begins to expand. It begins to fill up. It begins to push on the outskirts or the walls of your heart. It begins to push on the walls of your mind. It begins to push on the walls of your emotions, and you begin to feel, and that's what we refer to as stress. You begin to feel the tension from that story, from that information, from that experience that stays inside of you. And so from several angles here, when we talk about mental health, when we talk about therapy, that's why you go to therapy. That's why it's healthy to see a therapist. That's why it's healthy to express those thoughts. That's why it's healthy to have relationships and friendships where you can share without retribution, right? Without fear of consequence from that sharing, right? So when she says there's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you, that is what I talk about all the time. Permission for you to tell your story, because it's not just that your story will be helpful to others. Keeping the story inside you is unhealthy for you. Whatever it is, whether that's the good story, the bad, you want to keep that, you want to share that story so that other people, so that number one, you can be able to release some of the tension, the stress, the emotion that's inside of you. Right. And then the second thing that you want to do is you want to be able to share that story so that other people can be transformed by hearing it. Right? Other people are going to be able to see how you navigated your space. They're going to be able to see how you did what you needed to do. Thank you, Darian. How you did what you needed to do in order to become successful or to meet some level of success in that space. Right? So I want you to believe what Maya Angelou says. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And in addition to that, I want you to believe that your story deserves to be heard. I want to encourage you to believe that your story deserves to be heard. I just finished up the last episode, the episode number 100. We just released the episode number 100 of the RK3 Show podcast, and we just sunsetted that. We're going to start another podcast in a week. I'll share that with you in a moment. But at the end of every episode of the RK3 Show, what I said was everything that happens to you in life is your stuff is your story, and your story deserves a stage. And that's because your story deserves to be heard. Your story needs to be heard. Don't keep it bottled up inside because as Maya Angelou says, I'll bring it up again, there's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. It's kind of like pregnancy, right? Imagine if a mother had to carry a child inside of her while it kept growing inside of her. That would be probably pretty dangerous, right? So at some point, 9 months, 10 months, whatever it is, at some point, that child has to be birthed, right? That child has to be birthed at some point. And so your story, your experience, like a child inside of you, it grows, and it begins to push against those walls, and it begins to squeeze, and it causes tension. And at some point, it has to be birthed. And if it's not birthed, it causes tension, it causes pain, it causes, you don't even know what's going to happen. And again, that's why some sicknesses, diseases, and disorders happen, because we have stories, because we have things inside of us that are bottled up and just waiting to be birthed. So this morning, again, I want to encourage you. Listen, share your story, whatever it is that you've got going on, whatever it is that's happening in your world, share your story. Your story deserves a stage because it is something that is going to be able to help others transform their lives. Because I really believe that when there are a lot of people looking for purpose, but I believe that all of us have the same purpose, and our purpose is to share with others, right? So that their lives can be transformed. Our purpose is to transform the world around us. Our purpose is to live fully so that others can receive a blessing from that others can receive transformation from that people can just see how you operated in the world, and their lives can be changed and transformed because of that. All right. That's all I wanted to share this morning. Listen, I want to share something else with you. Next week, Monday at 1:30, we are going to be launching the What's My Story podcast. How I got from there to here. The What's My Story podcast will be launched right here. You'll see it on LinkedIn. You'll see it on Facebook. You'll see it on YouTube, on the RK3 TV channel. And the purpose or the goal of the What's My Story podcast is we're really diving into pivotal moments in the lives of people, in the lives of leaders, in the lives of business owners, so that they can share with us how that pivotal moment propelled them to success. Right? What is the time? What is the thing? What is the barrier? What is the obstacle that they had to walk through in order to reach the success that they are right now? So I'll share that with you one more time. Next week, Monday, April 5th at 1:30 p.m., we are launching the What's My Story podcast. And I'm inviting you to be with us, hang out with us, because we're going to have some amazing people on this podcast. We're going to be leading off next week with Pam Perry. And then in a few weeks after that, I believe we got Brian Fanzo. We've got Bill Ryman. We've got some amazing people for the month of April. So make sure that you join us, hang out with us on the What's My Story podcast, and learn how to have some fun. All right, listen, y'all, this morning, that's been my Monday morning motivation. I'll put that quote up again by Maya Angelou, and then we'll end off with that. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Make sure that you tell your story this week. Birth that story. Get it out, however you've got to do it. If you've got to write it, great. Get a writing coach. If you've got to share a video, great. Get someone who can help you create videos. If you've got to share it in a speech or a talk or whatever it is, get that story out. If I can be beneficial to you, make sure that you get connected with me. Go to robertkennedy3.com and I can help you from there. Or you can join us in the Storytellers Growth Lab. Check out storytellersgrowthlab.com, or you can join us in the Storytellers Growth Lab on Facebook. Just search Storytellers Growth Lab. That's all I've got to share this morning. Listen, y'all, I will see you for the next Monday morning motivation next week, Monday at 10 a.m. Again, you can also join us again Monday afternoon for the What's My Story podcast. I'm looking forward to an amazing show and an amazing time. I'll see you. Don't forget to share your story this week. Peace.